Hello fellow language learning nerds! Thank you for stopping by! Today I would like to do another video in my Japanese bookshelf series. The series where I take a book from my metaphorical Japanese bookshelf and show them off and give you a look into the book itself. Sometimes it's a book that's written in Japanese, sometimes, like today, it's a book that's designed to help you learn Japanese. Today's book is actually one that I kept almost teasing in the last couple of videos as showing you a book that I've been using recently but not really properly showing you. So today's the day I'm finally showing you this one. This is the Start JLPT N4 vocabulary book. Or I guess I should give it a try. Hajimete no Nihongo no ryoku shiken N4 tango. That was my best try. But yeah, as you can guess, it is a vocabulary book designed to kind of help you with all the vocabulary that you're probably going to need for the N4 level test of the JLPT, the Japanese Language Proficiency Test. So, a kind of little look into the book itself. The book is divided into several different topics for you to work on so that you can, so it's not all random. You can concentrate on vocabulary for news or hobbies or for going out, that sort of thing. So there is a logic to the system. It has a pretty simple layout to it. On each page, on one side you have the vocabulary that you're trying to learn, and then next to it, it has that word in an example sentence, so you can kind of learn it in context, which I've been learning is extremely valuable. A very distinctive thing for this book, and a few other books. I don't know if a lot of Japanese learning books have this particular feature for it. This one certainly does, and I've seen a few others, and that is using this red fancy sheet thingamabob. Basically, if you look at the page, you will kind of notice that it has kind of a red pinkish kind of colour to it. All the vocabulary that you're trying to learn is in that pink reddish colouring, and the point is, when you think you are getting to grips with the vocabulary that you're trying to learn, you can use this to help test your knowledge. So you place this over the page where you want to test yourself on the vocabulary, and because it has a similar kind of red colouring to it, the everything on that page that is written in that pink colouring kind of disappears. It's magic. It's pretty nifty, not gonna lie. The first time I saw it, I was pretty much like, ooh. And I think it's such a simple but really useful trick for a book like this to have. A couple of things I noticed while using it that I thought is worth pointing out to you guys if you are thinking about using it yourself. One is that underneath a vocabulary and the example sentence that it has, sometimes, every now and again, it will pop in a related word that it thinks is useful to know as like a little side note, or sometimes they will have a little bit of information that they think is valuable, which I've appreciated on a few occasions. Another thing is that sometimes with the example sentences, it will highlight which particle you definitely are going to need for this particular sentence. For example, maybe pointing out if a sentence is going to need wa or ga, because knowing that sort of stuff is very, very important, and like, how you do that. A little bit on my personal thoughts for it. One thing, as I said, I think this is pretty nifty and I like using it. I don't know how common this is in Japanese language books, because I don't have a massive collection of them yet, but I'm really glad that this book has it. Another thing is that I'm really glad that it does use the vocabulary in example sentences. One of the reasons why I like that it provides you with example sentences is because I am terrible at coming up with my own example sentences. I know that trying to learn a new word is really good if you can use it in your own sentence. But like, sometimes I really struggle with that. Sometimes I can be like, okay, let's use the word for lamp in a sentence. What sentence will I use? Lamp. Use on lamp. Why I struggle so much with this, I don't know. But yeah, I'm just really glad when a book is able to give me some sentences that I can start off with. I was able to kind of really start to understand the importance of using vocabulary that you're trying to learn in multiple places. This is like a theory that I have heard before, but I never really felt it or really properly experienced it. Well, I probably did, but I wasn't consciously aware of it. I think the first time that I did become conscious that this method worked for me was while I was using this book. One of the words I was trying to learn from this book was hakken, which means discovery. And when I came across it in the book, I was like, oh, I've come across this word before, and it was actually in my Japanese class. We got a few new vocabulary words, and that was one of them, but I remember distinctly reading the word and being like, I'm not going to remember this. And so kind of almost didn't put any effort into trying to remember it. I concentrated on other words. I don't know if anyone else experiences this. Sometimes you come across a new word and sometimes it will be like, oh yeah, that's going to be easy to remember. Sometimes it's like, okay, trying to remember it. I think I can do it. Might have to keep checking it up a couple of times. And then there are just words where I'm like, nope, brain reject. And hakken was one of these. So I kind of just like ignored it. Please don't tell my teacher. But then I came across it in this book and I was like, oh, yeah, hakken. And I knew I wouldn't have been able to just remember. If you'd asked me what the word for discovery is, I would have been like, but I did kind of have a vague memory of this word when I was reading it in this textbook. I was like, interesting. Then, around about that time, I was playing Pokemon Snap, the new one. And every time you discover, you take pictures of Pokemon, and then whenever you take a picture of a brand new Pokemon that you've not taken a picture of before, when you give that to the professor at the end of the level, sometimes he'll be like, and I'm like, okay, professor, calm down. But after a while, I realised he was saying hakken, and I was like, wait a minute, I know this word. Yeah, I started to realise that I had seen this word in a few different locations, including the book that I was using. And that's when I really felt that technique of coming across a word in multiple contexts can really help you cement it in your head, which it did. I know it now. Yay! And I guess that might move me on to whether or not I kind of recommend this book, which I kind of do. In a way, I think it's great to have more ways in which you can come across vocabulary so that you can see it in different places and maybe get it stuck into your head. And if you're a book person like me, this is a really good way to do that, especially as with the wibbly wobbly red thing that I like. Being able to just take it with you and being able to just cover the words and give yourself a little test, I find is really useful, because without it, I find the only way I can really use the book is with pen and paper, and I can't always be doing that on the bus, you know? So yes, I do recommend it, as long as it's not your only source of grabbing new vocabulary. It is perhaps a great way to start jumping into different subject areas. Like I said before, it has a bunch of different topics, and I really do think it's a great way for you to be able to start onto a new topic if you want to jump into the news category and learn something of those, this is a good place to start getting words and vocabulary, and maybe also some example sentences to start you off on some brand new things to learn. Another recommendation while using this book, I would recommend not to be strict with yourself. I know that there's like a 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of order with the vocabulary, but don't worry about not learning them in order. If you're struggling with like a couple of words to like get them into your head, don't worry about skipping them and going on to the next one. That's absolutely fine. I spent a lot of time on like the very first couple of pages trying to get those words into my head, but they weren't really sticking with me, probably because I wasn't using them anywhere else other than this book. But I did find a bit more success when I moved. I just kind of abandoned that and moved on to other pages with topics that I was more interested in, with words that I was more likely to use in other places, in class or on italki, or just hearing when I'm watching something on Netflix, say. Now, I did really like using this book, and I would recommend it to others, though I would say that even though I've been using it for a little while, I sometimes feel like I still don't have the best technique for learning from a vocabulary book. So I think I still feel like I'm just wandering around the pages being like, new word? New word? Anyone got a new word for me? So I'm definitely going to still continue using this book, if only to try and work out how I best learn vocabulary with this book. I know I still have to try and find vocabulary in multiple different places to try and get it into my head, but when it comes to using a vocabulary book, what is my preferred, what is the best way for me personally to get those words out of the pages and into my head, if you know what I mean? I don't even know what I mean. So I think it's definitely something I might look up. Maybe some other people have advice online perhaps. But yeah, it's something that I still need to work on. Anywho, that's enough of me nattering on. Yes, I quite like this book. I don't know if any of you have been using either this one or the same in like another level in the same series. If you have, do let me know what you think about it. Positive or negative, I'd like to hear. Or perhaps if you even use a completely different vocabulary book. Or maybe you don't use vocabulary books at all and you use a completely different method. You know, please do feel free to let me know. I will finally stop nattering on about my book and let you get on with the rest of your day. Hopefully I will see you in the next video. And of course, in the meantime, may your grammar be structured and your vocabulary varied. Bye!